Good morning, all. My name is Don Walters. I am one of the licensed guides here on the Gettysburg National Battlefield, and I'm here to discuss young Albert Lentz, the first doughboy from Gettysburg killed in the Great War, World War I. Obviously, Albert's tombstone. I might put a little photograph in front to give you an idea of the man. Often, Albert is confused for being the first Adams County doughboy killed. He comes to be number 3. The first doughboy from Adams County killed, hailed from New Oxford. His name is William Gary. He becomes a member of the famous Rainbow Division, the 42nd Infantry Division. He will be killed in March, early March of 1918. Second comes Wilfred Ruprecht of McSherrystown. He will be killed at the just around San Miguel, but not in the offensive, in early April of 1918. And then Albert Lentz will die. It's unclear if he is killed on April 26th or April 27th. I've seen both dates mentioned over the years. Albert was originally buried in a French cemetery and moved back here. Corporal Gehring of New Oxford remains in the Meuse-Argonne Cemetery today, and Wilfred Ruprecht of McSherrystown also remains in the San Miguel Cemetery in France. Something very interesting. The 42nd Division originally was put into a very slow sector trying to get used to it. He was killed, and the report for the day says nothing happened this day. Meanwhile, here's a young man who was given his life. As one great author said, all quiet on the Western Front. Now, another author I found quite interesting is Mark Snell from the area. He makes a mention that the first 3 Adams County doughboys killed all have Germanic ethnicity, and they're fighting the Germans at a time that Germans were little thought of in America due to the Great War. Albert grew up in Gettysburg, went to high school. I don't think he graduated. He then went to work on the Gettysburg and Harrisburg or Philadelphia and Reading Railroad. He became a day laborer. I like to think he may have been part of the work crew putting some of the final artillery monuments honoring the regular army at Gettysburg, especially along Cemetery Ridge in the early 1900s. He has that wanderlust us Americans have. He will then move through Ohio to Chicago, becoming a chauffeur, a hospital orderly, and eventually join John Pershing in the Mexican expedition chasing fruitlessly Pancho Villa. He then becomes a member of the 1st United States Infantry Division, originally known as the 1st Expeditionary Division. Becomes then the 1st Regular Army Division for perpetuity since the Big Red One. I'd also mention the 42nd Division, our first doughboy killed here, is often called the Rainbow Division, and you could make an argument that the Rainbow Division and the 1st Division were the 2 all-star divisions of the United States Expeditionary Force in the First World War. Now, Albert Lentz is between a rock and a hard place. He is a member of the 18th U.S. Infantry Regiment Headquarters Company. His commander was Ulysses Grant McAlexander, West Point graduate, born in Minnesota during the American Civil War, and he don't like him, no Confederates. The division commander at this time is Robert Lee Bullard of Alabama. Indeed, he was born in Alabama the week Alabama okayed its secession ordinance early in 1861. He will have little to do with Colonel McAlexander and be rid of him eventually. I might also mention Robert Lee Bullock was not his given name. His given name originally, he changed at the age, was William Robert Bullock. He changed at the age of ascendancy to show allegiance with the Confederacy during its time. I'd also mention McAlexander became commander of the 3rd U.S. Infantry, sometimes called the Rock of the Marne. It will be his regiment employing a tactic used by Lee a year after Gettysburg to advantage. Now, he is put in the line to take some time and get used to combat. He has a bad time. The week he is killed, on average, his battalion, numbering less than 2,000 people conservatively, night after night will incur somewhere in the vicinity of 15,000, not 1,500, 15,000 high explosive and gas shells, what's known as Bruckmiller's cocktail. A man named Bruckmiller's come up with the exact dosage, how much high explosive, how much phosgene, how much chlorine, how much mustard is used. In fact, these members of the 1st U.S. Infantry were so polluted with this horrible mustard gas They were given French Army uniforms at that time, and it's quite possible that Albert lays today in Gettysburg, United States, still buried in his French military uniform. He will be part of what's called a box barrage, a terrifying thing. The Germans will put artillery fire in a line behind his position on both flanks, the position in front. That way there can be no reinforcing. Then they will slowly drop the mustard all over the position, then move in. This is a tactic developed by several Germans, often called Hootier's tactics, and he gives his men the nickname Stormtroopers. So if you're familiar with the modern movie franchise, that's where the name comes from, Stormtroopers, and Stormtroopers are responsible for Albert Lentz's untimely death. He will lay in France until 1921, when the family will bring him back here. Originally, the American Legion, a new organization then, will ask for him to be buried on Sunday because they will believe there will be a large procession. He is such a popular fellow back home. But the government says we don't do burials on Sunday. So he is buried the next day here, a large procession. Albert's one of the many, many Americans that gave his life in the Great War that is just so little known about today. I'd like to thank you all for spending this time here with me at Gettysburg this morning. Again, I'm Don Walters, one of the licensed battlefield guides.